Welcome friends to another r/ProRevenge video. Today we've got a lot of awesome stories, and our first story of the day is from Santa's other brother. Give me the worst machine you have and no training or support? No problem. Pete from my previous story here never stopped trying to get me fired. The spring company used 4 slide machines to make a lot of their spring forms. Until I started there, I'd never seen or heard of one. My experience was in stamping dies. Never worked on a 4 slide until I assumed the other tool makers were busy and there's a rush job, so I get sucked into tooling up this job. Peter says, "You do the tooling and we'll get one of the guys to run the samples for you." Okay, cool. Because I have no idea how these machines operate and he knew it. They had half a dozen 4 slide setup/operators, lots of machines. Shouldn't be a problem. So I make the tooling no problem. "Peter, here's the tooling you wanted." They say, "Okay, now you set it up in this machine. Here's a small coil of material. Run off 100 sample parts." I say, "What happened to getting one of the guys to run them?" They say, "Nope, you are going to run the samples on this machine. This turns it on, this makes it go, figure it out." And all the other guys were told not to help me. Recipe for disaster. Great, thanks. So I muddle through the setup with no instruction, no help. Soon I'm making parts, but they're very inconsistent. Not acceptable. One of the operators tells me this is absolutely the worst POS machine they had, and nobody could make it run properly. Cool, thanks Peter. Tempted to take the machine apart and quit. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction. Turns out a key piece of the mechanism was loose because the tapered key that was supposed to hold the parts in alignment had worked loose and fallen out. This changed the timing as the machine ran, making inconsistent parts. I found the now misshapen tapered key, made a new one, and fixed the problem. Disaster averted. The machine ran perfectly after that. All samples within tolerance. Shocked Pikachu face from Peter. A disappointed Peter says, "Anyone could have figured it out." I say, "You didn't, and neither did any of your 4 slide experts." I mean, this just pays off having the confidence to disassemble something yourself and try to troubleshoot it. Are you the kind of person that if you have something mechanical or maybe even electronic that stops working right, are you the kind of person that dives right into unscrewing and opening it and looking around for maybe a potential problem? Or are you more on the "I wouldn't dare do anything like that" side for a fear of breaking it or making it worse? Personally, I'm definitely more on the latter side, but what about you guys? Let me know down in the comments. Our next story is from Sipistar. IT department? Then you figure it out. Years ago, I was working for a web hosting company. I was on the fraud IT team. We provided a service to clean websites that were hacked. We would also shut down sites violating our terms of service. Super easy stuff when it comes to the IT world, but still needing to know your stuff. The issue? A coworker was lazy. He would take smoke breaks every 15 minutes, be gone for half an hour, then show back up. He stunk and didn't get a lot done. I didn't actually mind stepping up and taking most of the workload. I was young, ambitious, and a bit naive. Until one day I found out that he was taking credit for the work I did. Not cool. The reason for revenge? I realized that each time management came by, he would focus on his work and find some errand for me to do that would send me to a different floor for 10 minutes or so. He would then make his move and take credit for my work, making me look lazy. Knowing he was lazy, I came up with a plan. The revenge, when he would leave for his smoke break, I unplugged his internet cable just slightly enough that unless you went to reseat it, unplug and plug it back in, it would look like it was plugged in. The fallout, he never took the time to physically reseat the connections. He would just glance at the plug, submit a ticket to internal IT, then while waiting for them, go on a smoke break again. I would quickly plug it back in by the time internal IT came around. He began to complain to management, and since internal IT never saw any issues, they began to question his work and they took a closer look. Logs don't lie. I stopped unplugging it as they got a mole to spy on us. It was very obvious as the mole would walk by us every hour. I got promoted and he, well, went to a lower level. Personally, I'm of the opinion that if you legitimately work your butt off, you're going to get recognized at some point, or at least you have a much greater chance of it, right? I think this person from the get-go was only ever truly setting themselves up for failure, though I'm not gonna lie, I don't think they're really too fussed to even care. Somebody that goes and does that much slacking off while being physically in the building, who then goes and gets demoted, is probably like, oh, well, that sucks. Well, just make the best of it, I guess. Our next story is from an anonymous poster. I left my job without notice and I love it. The title sounds bad, but bear with me. I'm 24-year-old female, and last year, my dad asked our family doctor, which is a family friend, if he wanted me to go help him sometimes in his office. You know, secretary work, answering the phone, taking appointments, stuff like that. He said yes. I started working every day for a month and a half with no contract, but due to family reasons I had to quit. So he had to put someone to fill my spot. The new secretary had a contract, this is important. At this point I started going just once in a while the other secretary couldn't go. Basically, I was a substitute. I was making some money and we were all happy. He sometimes was giving me lectures and making promises like, when she'll retire, you could work here full time with a contract and stuff. That wasn't really my plan in life, but who am I to say no to a job? Last month, the secretary decided to leave, and when he called me, I was like, cool, I'll go there full time and make some money. He gave me full access to the computer so I could work easily, something that I didn't have when I first started, but things took a turn. He asked me if I was okay with having a person next to me for a few days so I could teach her how to do the job. I was confused, but I said okay. My dad told me not to worry. Maybe he just wanted me to have a substitute, just like I was the first secretary sub. He started blabbering about how this workplace is not secure, that I'm way too good and way too smart for this job, and that I shouldn't stop there, that I could do so much more, and that he was going to retire soon anyway, so there was no use in making me sign a contract. It was strange because not too long ago he was talking about working there full time, so the change of heart was weird. Turns out that the person I was teaching the job to was the new full-time secretary, and he expected me to just keep being the substitute. Also, the new secretary was going to receive a contract. Honestly, I felt annoyed. I didn't like the job that much, but still, it hurt my pride the way he was acting, so I decided to stop substituting for him. I heard that the secretary already planned a 2 weeks vacation in August, so I know he'll be in deep crap without me covering for her. The other day, he told my mom that he needed me for those 2 weeks, and I told him that I won't be in town. Huge lie, and next time he'll call, I'll tell him I have a new job. Good luck finding some other idiot that comes to help you with less than 1 day's notice. I think this is definitely an inexperienced thing. When you're young or it's really kind of your first job experience, I think it's pretty easy to just fall into a situation where you get comfortable receiving some kind of compensation when realistically you deserve a lot more. Our next story is from Marshall105. Airline lost my important luggage, so I advertised their incompetence at a conference. I don't know if it would even count as revenge, since the effect of it probably is equivalent to posting a rant on Facebook, but it satisfied my pettiness, so I'm gonna share it. So I was going to Miami to attend an exhibition as an exhibitor for my uncle's company. He paid good money to attend, so it's important to him and his company. I flew with big name airline in Canada, and I have all the demo stuff packed in a suitcase, and had it checked at the airport. But guess what? The trip went horrible. Thank you, Murphy. Well, anyway, my first flight got delayed, which caused the airline to rebook my next connection flight to big name airline in America. Not sure if this is the case everywhere, but apparently when traveling internationally, I had to reclaim my checked baggage and rechecked it at the new terminal, but when I looked for the suitcase, it wasn't there, and the airport staff couldn't find it either, since it didn't show up on the scan. So after hours of looking, rechecking, and waiting, the staff finally just tell me to fly to Miami and report the luggage for delay. And hopefully it'll arrive at Miami and the airport will deliver it to the hotel. So that's what I did. Good thing is there's 1 day between the conference starts and the day I arrive, so I have a 1 day window to wait for them. Now fast forward to the day of the exhibition, guess what? The bag is still not here. So I only have the printout that I laid out on the table to show, but no product. And of course, due to the lack of product to show, my booth didn't get any attention. At most, 2 people had stopped by my booth. I was furious because this exhibition has a lot of traffic, and it would have been a great opportunity to promote my uncle's company, but because of the incompetence of the airline company, it felt like a waste of money now. So I called the airline I booked my ticket with. After an hour on hold, they simply tell me they couldn't find it and call the other big name airline, but that airline didn't even give me a number to call regarding the luggages, but instead just a link to report missing luggages, so of course I was pissed, but there was nothing I could do. So fast forward to today, the second day of the exhibition, I made a couple of signs saying stuff like, "Check out the stuff big name airline has lost." Cool stuff that would have been here if big name airline didn't lose them. And big name airline should be here instead of me since they have all my stuff, and set them right in front of the product printouts. And I got a lot more attention than yesterday, though most of them is about how bad the airline was. But I did get some who saw the printout during the conversation about the airline and showed interest and left their contact info. So take that big name airline. Thanks to me, now at least 10 people know how bad you are. Doesn't it suck that honestly a lot of times to get help or get proper assistance, you've got to draw attention and bring outside attention in before they're willing to do anything for you? This story specifically reminds me of a different story where United Airlines was really rough, tossing people's luggage around and whatnot, and it ended up breaking a guitar that was in a case, being transported for this flight. Well, United gave them the runaround and didn't want to pay the full amount to replace the guitar, so they turned around and they made a whole song about how United broke their guitar. It got a big boost of popularity, exposed United. I think they offered to help out after the fact, if that didn't just somehow make them look even worse. By the way, if you're enjoying these stories, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below so you never miss any of my daily videos. This next story is from Miyoko. Insulting work email. My brother, who I've actively attempted to stay no contact with, bar necessities, for the last 2.5 years, sent me an email from his work account threatening me and calling me scum. I reported it. He complained to family members that he didn't understand why I reported it to his workplace, and that he'd only sent it from there because I'd blocked his other email addresses, so it appears his workplace weren't too pleased about it. He has consistently shared horrible messages on social media and sent nasty things to me and my family for a few years now, which on the whole we've ignored for his family's sake, but it was nice to finally get a little revenge. Somehow this guy doesn't realize how easy it is to just make a new email. There's dozens and dozens of websites you can make a new email address on. If you're gonna harass OP, just go and make one on one of those websites. Don't use your work email. How dumb can you be? Apparently, pretty. Our next story is from Santa's other brother. Trying to get me fired repeatedly, then ask for a favor? That's going to happen. I used to hand make prototypes and samples at a local spring company. Generally, once the design was approved, they would be produced in volume on automated machines. The production supervisor, Peter, had been trying to get me fired for months. Nice guy, cough. Everybody hated him. He also knew I was making samples of a very challenging design. Very small, lots of bends, close tolerances. Peter comes to visit and says, "You making these parts?" I say yes. They say don't make them too good because we're going to have trouble making them on the machines. I say okay, I understand. Sure thing, no problem. So I spent extra time making them as good as possible, made extra, then sorted them to find the very best pieces in the middle of the tolerance. They were beautiful and as close to perfect as humanly possible, and it made his job that much harder. Piggybacking on the second story that we kicked things off with from OP as well, it's kind of mind-blowing that they just couldn't figure out how to fix their machine. So they were basically having a system of, hey, don't make this thing too good or else we just won't be able to work with it. Imagine somebody coming up to you and saying, hey, don't do too good at your job or else we'll have to basically throw away any of the work you did. I'd be standing there like, what? This next story is from the cat closet. Coworker wants to damage my clothes? Not today. I have a work friend who's quite a few clothing sizes larger than I am. A while back, my car broke down and she offered to give me rides to and from work, since she drove past my street on the way. One day, she texted me asking if she could borrow a shirt because she hadn't had the time to do her laundry and had nothing clean to wear. We aren't that close, but I didn't mind and grabbed an old t-shirt and hoped it would fit her. I usually slept in it since it's extra large and I wear a small. Well, she drove up and was wearing a cami top, and I didn't think much of it. Our job is very casual dress, but the cami was a little revealing of her chest, so I understand if she wants to cover up more. The shirt fit her okay, but she complained about that and asked me why I had such big clothes when I was so tiny. For reference, she often makes remarks about my weight, jokes about my body shape, and complains about her weight, how much she feels she needs to diet and exercise while I can do whatever I want, etc. Well, it happened again a few days later, and as I hadn't done laundry by then, I brought along a couple of my loosest fitting shirts and hoped they would work. She rolled up in a cami top again and managed to squeeze into one of them and was satisfied. This continued to happen over the course of a few weeks, and I noticed some of the shirts ended up being permanently stretched from her wearing them and didn't fit me anymore. I was pretty mad about this, since I really liked some of those shirts, so I made a decision. As expected, a few days later, she texted again that she needed to borrow a shirt. So I purposely picked out a few of my smallest shirts that are tight on me. When I handed them to her, she looked at them and complained they were too small, and there was no way they would fit her. I told her I hadn't had the time to do my laundry, and that was all I had clean. She was pretty mad, and I felt bad because she had been giving me rides to work. I paid gas money even though she was already passing my street, but I'm tired of her ruining my clothes. Surely I'm not the only person here thinking what this coworker was doing is really weird, right? There's no way that somebody did not do their laundry that much or have such a small closet that they literally don't have shirts to wear every week or every other week or however often. I'm just sat here like, what is the real motive? Because clearly they have to have some actual motive here, right? They're either the laziest person ever, have the smallest closet and can't afford shirts, or for some reason they just really enjoy taking OP stuff. I don't know. And our final story of the day is from Rogue Rainbow. Tried to defraud me? Homie, I work in the car dealership. So this story goes back to my days as an automotive parts advisor, or a parts guy for the less fancy people. I legitimately enjoyed my work. I met tons of cool people, rode in some amazing cars, just amazing for a gearhead. I had previous experience as a mechanic, so I was certainly knowledgeable. For more background, it was a higher end dealer. Our average new car price was over $100,000. Needless to say, our parts were expensive. I had the freedom to give discounts. We made most our money from our shop and wholesalers. We could have easily have gotten rid of our retail counter and made about the same money. It was essentially providing a service to keep our existing customers happy. Vital to the story is we also drop shipped for 2 different reputable online parts retailers. They got special pricing and quicker shipping for our region. If someone came to our counter and mentioned either, we had a special price match on that. Just a little over what it was on the site. To the actual story, one day this guy comes in, we'll call D Nozzle. A fair amount of our clients would buy a budget-friendly car we offered 10 years ago and think they were really on something. Some of them had superiority complexes on them, even though everyone there could easily afford their car. I was massively overpaid for my position. I'll refer to him as DN for D Nozzle. The initial conversation goes like this. I say, "Hello, sir. Welcome to the expensive but depreciation machine parts. How can I help you?" They say, yeah, I need this darn switch for my infotainment. I have a quote from you all already on my phone, so you better not try charging me more." Me, knowing that we have issues with third-party sites, tells the man the only quotes I can 100% stand by are quotes we have printed out in the last 30 days. DN says, "What do you mean? The website says your all's name's on it. I also called the dealership in Florida, and they can get it for me for only $30 more than that. I need it from you all for that price." I say, "Well, I'll certainly see if there's anything I can do, but I can make no guarantees." We get people trying to price match those places all the time, but we can't compete with dealerships advertising falsely under our name with no affiliation from us who deal with the bulk those dealers do. Anyway, guy is already irritated for no good reason. I leave and look up the part. To my surprise, the online listing on the fake site is under what we ourselves pay for, and the Florida dealership's only $20 above. Nope, not giving any leeway for this. I don't want this guy doing business with us, so maybe we can make $100 and have someone who comes in acting like that. Suggested price is $650, cost is $350. This is where the revenge gears start turning. He's already wasted my time. I decide to waste his time. I wait 10 minutes and go back to talk to him. I say, "Sorry about the wait, sir. Every time we have a customer try to price match to a dealer representing us, we have to send a complaint to legal, and my boss insisted I do it now. As for the other dealer, I still can't match their price. The deal in bulk, we simply can't. And at our price, you're paying for expedited shipping, warranty, and customer service." DN starts going off. "This is absolutely ridiculous. Can't you all order it from the other dealer and sell it to me at that price? What if I order it from them and ship it here? You'll feel ridiculous when I come pick it up knowing you lost a sale." It's met by a swift, "Sir, I don't know how they set prices that low. I'm sure shipping is going to bring it significantly more. For our price, you get a warranty and actual customer service. You're more than welcome to get it sent here, but when you come to get it, you're probably going to be more upset that it got sent back to them and are met with another price quote. I'm not telling you where to buy from, but if you buy from us, it's $650. Anyway, DN obviously wasn't the brightest, because this next sentence was the nail that really sealed his coffin. He says, "Well, what if I returned it after using it until the cheaper one comes in?" I say, "Well, sir, you could certainly try, but we reserve the right to deny returns of that nature." Now he's trying to get one over on me. I really wanted to sell it to him now. Anyway, we end the conversation. He decides to buy, and I'm polite enough to allow him to wait until he picks up to pay for it, since I can understand his frustration. Man literally snickers walking off. He thinks he's playing me, but buddy, I work in the car dealership. This place is filled with the years of screwing people over in the fine print. I'm no exception. So I assume DN then went home, snickering out of saving like $200, and thought he was smarter than me. I went and ordered the part and actually expedited it. I mean, he paid full tilt and all. Finally, it comes in. Next day. Usually we give customers a day to pick it up, or an automated email goes to them that it's in. I think DN deserved an extra special phone call. After all, he was so much smarter than me. I say, "Good afternoon, DN. I just wanted to give you a ring and let you know your Switch came in and is ready for pickup whenever is convenient for you." Let me tell you, the same D-bag voice over the phone, but it was short. I apparently called him on his lunch break as an added bonus. So he comes in that evening to get it, and it goes typical, but with added snark. I knew his cheap butt was going to go put it in, use it for a month, then try returning it. So he signs the invoice, pays his $650, and leaves. Not even a thank you for my amazing by-the-boom customer service, jerk. However, the signed invoice says we can't return used electrical parts. This man just told me he intends on using it and returning it. But when he signed that invoice, he was signing where it plainly states there's a restocking fee and no returns on used electronic parts, like the one he had just bought. And the sites he had up have the same policy. I took a copy of his invoice in my desk and continue on. Satisfaction would be mine. I just had to wait. Sure enough, he probably found out why it was so cheap. I had honestly forgotten about it. It was a month and a half before DN returned. My coworker met him at the counter, but it was policy for the parts employee who sold you the part to process the return. But it really wasn't. DN says, I need to return this part. It actually ended up not being what I needed. That is the crappiest excuse and 100% will get you a restocking fee. I mess up, I'll return it free and give you a fat discount and a legitimate apology. I say, oh, can I see the part? Before I return it, I just need to check it out. He did not like this, but to his credit, he packaged it in the exact same way he got it, even carefully peeking the sticker. I take it back to my desk and I'm sitting right under the light to look at it. Yep, sure as crap, it's used. Went exactly as planned. You can even see the freaking grime from the connector. I walked back to the counter with the part out and sticker he so carefully peeled off and ripped down the center, indicating it had been opened. He wasn't going to send it back in its place of his other one and try the same crap. I say, well, sir, I'm noticing signs of use. You can see from marks on the connector that shows the signs that it was plugged in, which makes it ineligible for return. Yeah, well, what if it's bad? DN says, being an even bigger idiot than when he originally came in. I say, well, sir, if that's the case, we can run your car through service, have a tech reinstall a part, and test it. I would have to let you know that if it's not actually bad, you would be liable for the bill. Anyway, DN starts getting visibly angry. I think by now he realized I wasn't as stupid as he thought we all must be, and it cost him a fair amount of money. The most satisfying part comes now. He pulls out the line I've been waiting on, and I got to use my favorite line to get people fuming. Can I speak to your manager? Of course, sir. I can get him, but I'm afraid he's going to tell you the exact same thing I just did. Sure as crap, boss man comes up, telling him the same darn thing I just did. Showed him the signed invoice and outlining the text indicating no returns on used electronic parts. Dude was mad as crap and started calling us crooks, which is ironic for someone who wanted to defraud us. Homie, you tried to trick the industry known for being tricksters. I estimate he spent a little over $1,000, $680 or so with us. Probably close to $400 with whoever we get the part from. The repair also takes a couple of hours if you don't know what you're doing. The lesson? Just because you got an older luxury car doesn't mean you're the crap. If you're actually the crap, you don't prove it to others. They prove it to you. Don't make it worth it for us to screw you over and never have to see your face again. And before anyone thinks I'm some fraudster, I frequently give major retail discounts. You just have to be polite. I just figure if you come in acting like a big baller, you must be, and price doesn't matter much to you. All I gotta say is I think it certainly takes a certain level of actual jerk to look somebody who works at a place in the eye and literally say to them, oh, I'm going to take this item, pop it in, and I'm going to use it for a while until I inevitably return it because I can get a better deal elsewhere. Even if that total DN move was your prerogative the entire time, why do you feel the need to do some dumb supervillain monologue thing where you give away your entire hand straight up to the person before you ever do it? This dude was just dumb in multiple ways. I'm gonna say, if you're gonna end up doing something along these lines, gonna be deceitful and cheat a company out of money and time, don't tell them in advance. Don't give them a heads up that you plan on doing so. It kind of leaves you wide open for you to be exposed for how dumb you really are. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another revenge story that was way crazier than any of the ones in this video, click on that left video. Or, if you missed my latest video, check out the one on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.